Hello and welcome to this month's episode of Complete Load of Podcast. Still can't talk quite well with the old brace. Did you hear that? Did that sound a bit? Yeah. Still struggling with the old brace. I'm James Buckley and my co-host is Matthew.
Hello.
How have you been, Matt?
Yeah, not bad, mate, not bad. A little bit tired. I didn't tell you this earlier, but I'm a bit hungover. It's been lovely weather here this weekend.
You didn't need to tell me.
No.
The fact that I offered you a beer and you went, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I brought my own bottle of water and sunglasses that I was wearing in here because I had a headache.
Yeah, we had to turn all the lights off and you had to wear your sunglasses for a bit. So we didn't need a discussion as to whether you were hungover or not.
Okay.
What have we been up to? Twitch.
Yep. Big old wallop of Twitch.
We did it. It'd be a couple of weekends ago once this video goes out. Did a whole weekend live with Buckley, and that was fun. And I think most people will agree with that statement. No, that you the most fun day was the Saturday when you turned up and we played some
life
video
and
games.
soul of the party, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So
I did. I've clipped out that bit where we watched The In-Betweeners and you did a commentary, which is quite interesting. But I watched it back to put it on YouTube, and I was terribly drunk by that point. That's all right. It was getting bad.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's I think that would have already gone out. So if you haven't watched that, that's me. We did a thing where we watched an episode of The In-Betweeners, and we got everyone else to press play on their DVDs or their all 4 accounts or whatever it was, their streaming services. At the same time, and we all watched an episode of The In-Betweeners together, and I just talked about what it was like making it, and I think a lot of people enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, it was quite fun. If there's a good reception to that, and then, maybe we'll have to do it again sometime.
I think we will. I thought it was quite fun. I was at Legoland yesterday.
Good.
It's the 3rd time I've been.
Really?
Yeah, it's the 3rd time I've been to Legoland. My kids love it. Kids absolutely love it. And by the way, this is Easter Saturday. Is there an Easter Saturday? It's Easter weekend.
Yeah, it's Easter Saturday.
Well, we're shooting this podcast. So yesterday was Good Friday. So it's Bank Holiday weekend, and we decided to go to a theme park. So you can imagine the pain I was in. Just people, I hate them.
Yeah, I mean,
so annoying.
They're always in your way.
They're always in the way. I don't mean people like asking for pictures or anything. That happened once, and even this kid asked for my photo, and my son went, "Oh, he was very nice, wasn't he?" And I said, "Yeah, he was a very nice boy." Just people like a woman got in an argument with Claire.
Really?
Yeah, because we had the super posh fast pass things,
right,
which cost fucking 90 quid each.
What?
Yeah. Jesus. So I had to pay. It was 4 of us, but I'm not queuing. I'm not queuing. So she couldn't understand
that you've paid for these special tickets.
We went in through a fast pass door, and she went in through a normal door. And then by the time we got to where we were, she was like well far back, and then sort of like jostled her way up to Claire.
Right.
Was going. I mean, I wasn't paying attention. I'll have to talk to Claire about this because I didn't actually get to the bottom of the story.
Yeah.
And she was like, "How did you get there? We walked in before you. How did you get?" And she weren't having it. That
as a special,
you can just pay extra to not have to queue up.
It's rough, isn't it?
But it's just, I get it though. I get the sort of the tension, especially from the parents, because it's just like, we don't really want to be here.
No. I can't imagine how difficult that is.
Yeah.
And then you've got a queue. Yeah. Of course it's going to wind you up. Yeah. I mean, but, just drop it.
I've got some fence news update.
Go. I'm ready for it.
I think it's going to finally be fixed. Still not been fixed. I just thought... I just had the thought, why don't I ask the bloke that does the gardening? Because I know he does gardening, obviously, because he comes around. But we haven't had him round once this year because it's only been the last couple of weeks that the grass has started to grow.
Yeah.
And I just saw old Pete the gardener. I sent him a text message saying, "Yeah, I need the grass cut and the garden tied up. Do you do fences as well?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." So that's the end of that. The fence. By the time this podcast goes out, I should have a fence. I'll tell you one thing though. So the fence is broken between me and the neighbour. And Claire come up to me and was like, "We need to pay for a new fence." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then it was like a week later, after I'd spoken to like that fence guy that I mentioned before. It was like a week after that. I was like, "Hang on,
who owns this fence?"
Yeah. Why is it? Surely it's 50-50. Well, that's the next update of the fence, because I'm going to have a little discussion with my neighbour, and I don't know how that's going to go down. Basically, the rule is that what I've heard, this unwritten rule, is that the person that has the nice side of the fence, like the sort of flat side, we've got like the
bit that juts out,
the pole side, pays for it.
Right.
So I'm thinking, is this petty? But I was thinking that if I go round and I go, "Look, you should be paying for that because like we've got the shit side of the fence."
I think it also on the deeds though, like it should tell you who owns it. Have you got your deeds?
Do have them somewhere. I think I've got them in a kitchen drawer along with a load of other piles and piles of shit that I'm going to have to go through to get those deeds. But if she says, because it's only a section, it's like right at the back.
Mate, honestly, is it worth the conversation? Like,
I'm not doing anything.
If it's a small bit of fence, and just go around and say, "Look, my gardener has offered to do it. It's going to cost X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I'll give her an opportunity to suggest." And
yeah, right. Okay. Well, I'm going to say, if she doesn't say anything, I'll go, "Well, do you want to go halves?"
Yeah.
And if she says, "No, not really," I'm going to go, "Okay, well, I'll pay for it then." And what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely replace the whole of the fence and have mine as the nice side.
Oh my God, this is going to backfire. You're going to get neighbours that hate you. What?
We're already. We're already
okay.
sort of there. Anyway,
all right.
I don't know, they might be watching this.
Jesus Christ.
But what are they going to do?
Yeah, so what are they
going to do? Ignore me more when I try and wave to them? Yeah, so that's my fence news update. So there will be at least one more fence news.
I for one can't wait for that.
Have you been up to anything of interest? I say of interest, you can see the level that we're working at here. We're just talking about my fence, so it could be anything.
No, mate, I've not been doing nothing interesting.
You have been quite quiet. I think it's your diet thing. I think you've let it creep into your life too much.
Yeah, well, you can't have a mad social life if you're trying to lose weight.
Yeah, because usually it's really difficult to pin you down. But you've been available, you have done the Twitch thing, you're here today.
Yeah, mate. I've got loads of free time, it's good.
You like it?
Yeah. I get a whole day back, rather than being hungover on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's a write-off.
Yeah, I know, but today you've just admitted it.
Yeah, but that was more because I woke up at 5:30 thirsty and I couldn't get back to sleep.
That's annoying, isn't it?
It is really annoying.
You can sleep through a hangover, you were laughing.
Wasn't that drunk? We was, it was lovely weather and we was only outside in the garden.
Some kids screaming just to get
and a few drinks in the garden and stuff, enjoying the sunshine, and I was in bed by 10:30, but
nice, perfect.
Got my head down, just woke up at 5:30, absolutely fucked me, so
yeah.
It wasn't a mad one.
Yeah. Alright, well, I should probably explain what this podcast is going to be about. Should have done that right at the top.
Right at the bloody beginning.
We have our very first guest, and he's a guy called Mark Sargent, and some of you might know him as a very prominent figure in the Flat Earth community, and he was also featured on a documentary that you can watch if you're in the UK on Netflix, and it's called Behind the Curve. And we really like the documentary. Yeah,
so regardless of your views on that sort of thing, it's quite a fun documentary to watch, regardless.
Yeah.
So,
and we're going to have a chat with him, and I'm going to let Mark talk, which is unusual for a YouTube interview. Usually the host will talk all the way over it. But he's a guest on this show, and I will be treating him as such.
Absolutely.
And we'll discuss what we think. I think after we've spoken to Mark, I think that's probably the best idea. We've got some questions that we want to ask him. We'll let him answer them, and then we'll talk about whether he was good enough or not. So that's basically what this podcast is going to be about. We are, we're hoping to fill up the whole of this podcast with him, and if we haven't, you will know, because it will be a very short podcast. But we'll just go ahead and kick off with the interview, shall we?
Yeah, well, by the end of this, we might be...
It might be flat earthers.
We might be little flat earthers.
We might be flat earthers, right. I'm going to go and get Skype set up.
Okay, mate.
Okay, so we're very lucky to be joined by Mark Sargent, who I guess, I'm sure he would probably disagree. He comes across as a modest guy from the research that I've done, but he's sort of the figurehead of the flat earth movement, I guess. He's the guy you go to if you want to talk about the flat earth.
That's right.
And we're lucky to have Mark with us, and it's a real pleasure you're our first ever guest on our podcast, so thank you for that as well.
And you chose me? I am so flattered.
Right, well, we wanted to talk about interesting stuff, so that's why we've come to you, Mark.
Well, this would be it. This is the most interesting thing out there right now, and it's super strange. So let's get to it.
Okay, we'll get to that. We will get to that. But first of all, you're pretty... I'm not sure if this is designed, but it's pretty hard to just do research on you, of anything other than flat Earth. It's sort of difficult to find out your background, and because of the little sort of cynical conspiracy theorist I am, I was wondering
why can't you find anything?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll give you the dark answer and then the truth. The dark answer would be, well, the agency made sure that my internet footprint was completely scrubbed before Flat Earth was introduced.
Yeah.
But no, that is not true. Actually, even though I was in the tech industry for years and years, I had no interest at all in social media.
Okay.
Not at all. I didn't have Facebook or MySpace or whatever was before that. I think I had an AOL account back in the day, and that was about it. I mean, you can find a few little things here and there. I think I wrote a review on the first expansion of Warcraft on Amazon, because I was a gamer. I used to play games for a living. Yes. And then I just kind of fell off and didn't do anything. I literally was not on the internet at all. In fact, I had an ex-girlfriend say the same thing. It's like, I cannot find you anywhere. And then when Flat Earth came back around, I was like, oh, okay, well, I couldn't avoid it. And so, yes, just about everything out there is Flat Earth.
Yeah.
So now it's nothing sinister. I just had no interest. I'm older.
Okay.
So
simple as that.
I got you by pretty much a whole generation, I think.
You, as you mentioned, you were a pro gamer, and this channel is predominantly, like when we're not doing the podcast where we get to talk about whatever we want, it's mostly us playing video games. And so I wanted to have a quick chat to you about that. You were pretty good. You were a champion at something. I was trying to, again, it was another piece of information that was
It's so old. The championship I won was just when the internet was rolling out. So it was a computer pinball championship world tournament done in 1994 by a little company out of Tokyo called Little Wing. And the game was called Crystal Caliburn Pinball, one of their earliest. Mm-hmm. And the publisher was out of Boulder, Colorado, called Starplay. And I'm listing this to you because I know people are be like, I gotta look this up. And the tournament lasted an entire year, and I won it. Beat a couple rivals out of Hong Kong and France, and it was a lot of fun. And the publisher from Boulder, Colorado, hired me. We exchanged ideas about their new games, and I hated their new stuff. And they said, you know what, we got to bring him on. And I was hired as a ringer. I went around to conferences like E3 and Macworld, Boston and Mac Group, World San Fran, and made their games look better than they were. Kind of like hiring a ringer when you're doing any conventions. You make sure a pro. It's like if you're doing bow hunting, you hire a professional bow hunter to show off your stuff,
Sure.
even though he has nothing to do with the manufacturing part. And in doing so, I became a producer of games. I helped this company, do some cool stuff and met wonderful, great. I knew the Bungie guys before they were Halo.
Right.
Old school type stuff. And I'm still a gamer now. I don't have nearly as much time as I used to. But like for example, my Warcraft account, 14 years and going.
Right.
Now I'm going to shut it down.
So you were basically the modern day equivalent of those guys that would go around with a sort of like cure-all tonic and pick someone from the crowd, and they'd be miraculously cured.
Pretty much. I was. Yeah, although I did wear a badge that said I was working for the company,
Right,
but
okay.
and this was before you could even do record games, before a lot of games had record options where you could record and play back. And so I'd have to sit there at the convention and play the same level over and over and over. Drove me insane. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, if you were a nerd back then, I was in nerd heaven.
Well,
it was a lot of fun.
Apart from Warcraft, is there any other games that you still dabble in when you get the time?
I mean, that's just it. I only really have time for Warcraft now. But when I was really heavy into it, if Warcraft was my wife, then Fallout 3 would have been my mistress. Okay. God, I love that game. I played that in every expansion and every mod to death, and just loved it. I just craved it. And then I like anyone, I had guilty pleasure games. Stupid little games you don't admit to your friends, but I'll tell you, my two guilty pleasure games. One was Bejeweled.
Right.
For whatever reason, I just dug that game. And the other was, and I was late to it, was Plants vs. Zombies.
That's a good game.
I thought that was Plants vs. Zombies.
I thought that was a fun. As far as a defensive framework game was going, that was brilliant.
I got into Plants vs. Zombies by sitting in a Chili's because they have those. They're sort of like little iPads where you can pay your check and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was waiting for my food to turn up and started playing Plants vs. Zombies in this restaurant, and then downloaded it on my phone and things. It's a good game.
Yeah, it's good.
I recommend it.
Fun little game. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't play. I mean, I'm kind of a purist. I mean, I'm the type of guy that plays pinball and doesn't shake the machine.
Right.
I won't play GTA, any of them, because it's crime based.
Okay.
I don't like the message it sends, and it makes me sound like a prude, but that's just the way I am. And then I think that Minecraft is an abomination because it's going backwards in graphics. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was like, why are you playing this? I go, it's squares. It's just big squares. And why the Lego Corporation didn't buy Minecraft right off the bat is it's just a mystery to me.
Because they didn't have any money. Lego keeps struggling to sort of exist.
Well, I mean, but if they were looking for an opportunity, that would have been it. And then, last comment on this. Fortnite. Come on, it's just it's a first person. There's nothing new about it. It's a first person shooter in a rainbow, candy wrapper.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's like, okay, it's a brighter palette. It's and people don't even die bloody. Sorry, you can't play Fallout and play Fortnite. You can't do them both. I dare anyone.
Well,
so sorry.
We're off to a good start then, because we pretty much hate Fortnite, don't we?
Ah, yeah.
And unfortunately, if you're a gaming channel and you don't play Fortnite, your channel pretty much dies, which I've discovered.
I get it. By small world story. Globebusters, one of our big flat Earth channels, the son of Bob Nodell, who founded Globebusters, he actually hacked Fortnite, and to where he got into their Christmas gift thing beforehand. He went behind the scenes and then released the results to Forbes magazine. Right. And of course Forbes magazine, when they used the screenshots, they forgot to hide his account name, so he was banned from Fortnite. And then Fortnite sent a FedEx legal cease and desist letter to his parents, and then they ended up hiring him.
Right.
So even though he's too young, they're paying him now to find bugs and exploits behind the scenes.
Yeah. Should we? You heard about this thing called the flat Earth?
I have heard about this. I hear it's really weird, and but it's everywhere, and people can't seem to get rid of it. It's like a virus.
So I'm going to start at the very beginning with the most simple question I could think of, and
Sure.
you can answer this. You can. I would even appreciate it if you did talk to me like I was a 4-year-old, because
Okay.
that's the kind of mentality I'm at, and that's the best way to sort of communicate with me in lots of ways. But
Sure.
how is the Earth flat? Why is it flat? Why
Is it flat? Or do you want, maybe we could start even more simple than that. Is what does it look like?
Yes, that would be a great place.
Well, what does the flat Earth model look like? Okay, so, and I don't have my globe in front of me, but you know what a globe looks like. So if science says that you're on this tiny little rock that's covered with a thin sheen of water, and then that is covered by a thin sheen of smoky atmosphere, that is flying through the universe at 5 different velocities and 5 different directions, and your life means nothing, and you're just this accident that's never, you have no purpose. We say that instead you are living in, for lack of a better word, a structure, a box, a planetarium, a terrarium, a building with walls and a floor and a ceiling. And inside that building is a giant saltwater lake, which would be our entire ocean system. And inside that lake are large islands, which we know as continents. And for the most part, all the continents look the same except for Antarctica. Antarctica is not this island continent that's about the same size of Australia. Antarctica is instead a giant, massive continent of ice that surrounds us. And this particular building is so large, it's so massive, that even our best and brightest scientists didn't figure it out until about 1960. And that would have been the United States and the Soviet Union at the time, because they were down in Antarctica looking for the edge, actually from 1928 all the way until about the middle of 1960. And then when they figured it out, they had a decision to make, and that is, okay, do you tell the public? After 500 years of beating people over the head with textbooks, do you tell the public that it's actually not what you thought it was? And they decided to, let's keep this a secret as long as possible until we can figure out a way to roll it out to civilization in a way we deem necessary. And it looks like they can only hold on to that for about 60 years. And here we are now, and the whole thing's starting to fall apart.
So you do. So do you think they're being found out, or do you think they genuinely do have a system to ease us in to what this new
excellent
way of thinking?
Yeah. Excellent question. You're absolutely right, and that is, are they being, are we clever enough that we figured this out, or are we being, are they just kind of leaking it deliberately, which is most likely the case? Okay. Yeah, I've believed that since I've been doing this since 2015, which is we have not been stopped at any turn. If you wanted to shut this thing down, if you wanted to curb this thing, it would be so easy from a programming standpoint. You got to remember, Google owns YouTube entirely, and Google and YouTube has been doing nothing but help us for the last 3 years. I mean, they've been promoting it to where, the recommendation list it's so easy to stop this thing. All you have to do is in YouTube, it's so little code. You say, if you see flat Earth or any combination of flat Earth, do not recommend it to anybody on the right-hand side. Don't ever recommend it. And then when you're in Google, don't ever fill in anything regarding the Earth with the words flat. And it's the opposite. It always keeps coming, and they just kept pumping us to where we were getting almost token resistance from the mainstream media. And so, here we are. So sorry. Short answer, yes. I think it is being rolled out.
And we've been doing most of our research for this chat has been on YouTube. Some of it has been. We watched Behind the Curve.
Oh, good.
So we want to talk to you about that a little bit. But also, sorry if you can hear any weird noises. My computer's. Okay.
I hear nothing.
You're
good.
It will be coming out on our footage, that's for sure. But it's most of our stuff has been on YouTube, and also the thing that I find. The thing that sort of, so we've seen Behind the Curve, and we basically we like you. We think you're a nice guy, and I think you come across really great in that film.
Well, thanks.
And I think that even though I'm not 100% convinced that the Earth is flat, I don't think that there's I don't think that there's any reason to be rude or to which I've seen a lot when you've been interviewed, and also what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, but Neil has to be adversarial, because remember, he is the most popular face in science right now. The most popular scientist in the world, and the second most popular science would be on your side, which would be Brian Cox.
Well, yes, I'm a big fan of Brian Cox, and I do like. I like when people explain things to me in a way that I can understand, and I go, "Oh, that's interesting." I don't appreciate, sort of, there's a lot of things that, like sort of Richard Dawkins, for example, as well. I just find and this is just me personally, and you can call me stupid or whatever you want. But there's some things I like believing in, just because it makes me happy and I'm not hurting anyone, and it doesn't mean that you have to sort of, I don't know, look down on people just if you have a difference of an opinion on something, and especially of what most of your arguments are, because I don't want to say it's a conspiracy theory, because that's sort of, I don't know if that's the right. I don't know if that's how you would consider it. When you think of conspiracy theories, you think of crazy.
You got to
stuff,
call it.
I don't want you to think I'm putting you in that box, coming on being a guest on our show. But I do love conspiracy theories. I love an alternate narrative. I like asking questions, and I'm a person that does. I would promote asking questions and not just accepting everything, and that's that's why I usually find, when you go down these rabbit holes and you start looking at, was 9/11 an inside job and things like this, and the thing that I always look at is who benefits from this conspiracy. And sometimes, when you go, would it benefit the President of the United States, who has financial interests in munitions and home security and things like that? Would it benefit him to be in a war? You go, well, yeah, it probably would, wouldn't it? And the thing is, though, I don't know who benefits from the Earth being flat. That's the thing that I'm struggling with. I don't. Okay. It's nice to have someone I can point at and go, right, you're doing this, and then we can all blame that guy or lady.
Sure. Do you want me to jump in?
Who should we be going after?
Who should we blame? Okay, first off, I have to clarify that human beings had nothing to do with the building of this place. Whoever built it is way older, way more powerful. Pick your, giant terrestrial race here. Could be frost giants for all we know. But as far as keeping it a secret, I thought about, that was one of the first things I thought about when I was going through the thought experiment of building this place out, which was, okay, who would benefit, and could they keep it a secret? Because, so let's say the United States and the Soviet Union figure it out in 1956, 1957. And then they sit down at a big X-Files smoking man meeting around one of those big tables, darkened room, and it's okay, what do we do here? And someone says, okay, what's the worst that could happen if we told people? And there's three prongs to this, and they're real short, which is, one is academically. Academically, overnight, it would be a complete upheaval, meaning astrophysics and astronomy, they would close their doors and never reopen. And your remaining physical sciences, biology, hydrology, archaeology, geology, take your pick. Those have to be retooled from the ground up. That's every university in every country. Libraries would have to be gutted and redone, and it would just be a horrible mess. Economically, you would have to suspend world trading, even now, for several months, until you figured out what the flat Earth meant to the world economy. But the biggest one would be spiritually, and that is, the 5 major religious houses of this world, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. They all have a stake in this, and you're all of a sudden giving all 5 of them simultaneously leverage against science. And you're asking them not to take revenge for the last 5 centuries. And that would be a tall order for them to do. They would all come at science and say, okay, you were wrong about something really, really big. What else are you wrong about? Let's take another look at carbon dating and the Big Bang Theory and dark matter and evolution, and we're just going on. It would never end. Science, if in a boxing match, the science would be on the ropes. They would be in real trouble. You could take those 3 things. That's the shortest meeting ever. It's like, yeah, we can't really tell this. So you can't point at any one person. You have to point at the entire power structure, because men do not like giving up power. They don't. It's one of the rules of power. Men just don't relinquish it willingly. And so
you got to hang on to it. You got to hang on to power once you got it. Yeah,
you got to hang on to it, and that's basically it. You can't be. I'll end it with this. You can't be the ultimate authority if you're not the ultimate authority. If there's somebody bigger than you, it automatically undermines your credibility. It's the same reason why, and I'm jumping genres here, same reason why the Air Force will never admit that there's spaceships flying around up there, because the spaceships are better than us. And you can't rule the skies if you don't rule the skies. So there you go.
So are there spaceships then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it. You can go out tomorrow and watch them all day long. All you need is night vision. Night vision binoculars. You can buy it on Amazon for $500. In fact, it was a guy in Britain that told me about this. He goes, "You want to see some weird stuff, man? Get some night vision binoculars and start looking up." I'm going, whatever. I start looking up. I'm going, yeah, a lot of. There's the things just crawling with satellites, and then all of a sudden you start seeing these satellites move in directions they shouldn't be, and start flying in squadrons. And you're going, holy smokes! So the thing is, are they from Mars and Jupiter and Venus? No, they're not. They're probably older versions than us, which I also might want to throw in. We're not the first people to rent this apartment, not by a long shot. Everyone knows, I don't care what show you're watching, Ancient Aliens or Discovery or whatever, we all know there's older civilizations that have been here. The sunken cities off of Japan, the sunken cities off of India, the Bosnian pyramids, Bimini Road, Atlantis, the real pyramids. We all know there's been civilizations here before us. I don't know what version we are. But we are definitely not alone. There's remnants of the previous ones. That's what I think.
So what would you have to do? Because I also like the argument that when people say, well, we've seen a photograph from space, and
of course,
and obviously you can counter that with but you can make photographs. Have you
you can
seen
make photographs.
Look, from space?
Photoshop.
That's basically the proof that we all want. Is to would you be up for going in a rocket ship and finally finding out once and for all what this is? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, I would. I'd go in a heartbeat, but it's never ever going to happen. They would never let somebody like me go up there because, well, one, there's not much they can do as far as leverage. Because if you did take someone like me, you'd sit them down, just like they did with Capricorn 1, the movie, and say, okay, you're going to sign this disclosure, and you're going to say exactly what we're going to say. We will pay you, and you are going. They would try to compromise whoever they'd send up there, but they're never ever going to do that.
If Mark Sargent dies in a rocket ship explosion, we should all be very, very suspicious, basically.
Oh my God, the conspiracy world just light up, and which is why I've also made and I don't care. Like I haven't been married and I've never had kids, so I'm willing to put myself out there for the cause. And not that I said that I want to be a martyr, but come on, we've all watched enough movies and television. Being a martyr really helps the cause if you can pull it off. And so I've even said, look, there's an easier way. If you want to go a long way to proving the world is not what you think it is, give me a spacesuit. Give me an astronaut suit, because it should be able to hold up against the vacuum of space, and which is impossible. It completely violates the law of thermodynamics. And put me in a vacuum chamber and pull the switch. And of course, it'd be nice if a scientist was wearing a spacesuit as well. because it can't. It's impossible. And what I mean by that, it's one of my 5 things. I don't know if this is one of your questions. You know what? I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Okay, there is a German television company that contacted me, and they said, okay, we want you to debate a professor from Georgetown over here in the States. And, well, we'll do it real civil, to where we're going to record you asking 5 questions. We'll take that video to him. We'll play it for him, and we'll just go back and forth. That way nobody's talking over each other. They go, give me your best 5 scientific points of why you think the Earth is flat. I'm going, okay, here we go. First one would be long distance photography, which is, if everyone knows, well, I shouldn't say everybody knows. Mainstream science says that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. And that whole thing, that's not supposed to freak people out. That's just algebra, and I didn't know it either. I'd forgotten everything about algebra I learned in high school. And what that means is every mile per mile. So 3 miles is 3 times 3 is 9, times 8 is 72 inches. 10 miles is 800 inches, and 50 miles is, because it gets worse and worse, almost 1,700 feet. We can see objects, and that means 1,700 feet over the curvature, behind the curve, hence the movie title. Behind the curve, right? You can't see over a hill once a truck goes over the hill. You can't see that truck. It's never coming back. I don't care if you have binoculars or not. You can't see that truck anymore. We can see boats now. HD technology has changed everything. Beforehand, 10 years ago, yeah, you could not bring that boat back into frame. HD technology, though, you can zoom into the horizon. That boat's back. It's like, well, wait, how can it be back? You let it go again, crank up the zoom again. We can see upwards of 150 miles at sea level. How's that even possible? It's not. Second thing would be the vacuum. This is the astronaut suit. Vacuum versus the atmosphere, which is we are, in an atmosphere, right? Mostly nitrogen, some oxygen, and atmospheric pressure. And they say that it sticks to the ball because of gravity. Well, the vacuum of space is absolute. And I've talked to industrial engineers, and the vacuum will rip the atmosphere off of everything. If you think I'm kidding, I don't know if you have a second floor to your place. Well, imagine the second floor of your place was a vacuum chamber, and you had a big cork, and you pulled it out. What do you think is going to happen? You are going to black out in 2 seconds because all that air is going to rush up. And you say, well, okay, what's your point? My point is, why didn't gravity keep all the atmosphere down in your apartment? Third one would be the eclipse shadow. The moon's supposedly 2,000 miles wide. Well, why is the blackout zone in an eclipse? I don't know if you guys get that over where you are. But why is the blackout zone only 70 miles wide? That's a 97% decrease. That's like you walking next to a building in the sun and your shadow comes down to the size of an action figure. This never happens in real life. And go, well, science says that it narrows it down, it convexes it and reduces the angle. It's like, okay, fine. Then the Earth should do the exact same thing. The Earth is in front of the sun. The Earth, which is 8,000 miles wide, if you believe it, that should cast a 250-mile wide blackout zone on the moon. Never ever happens. We only see a blood moon. We never ever see the blackout zone. The moon should look like a blood red eye. Fourth, which is go down to any hardware store, buy a point-and-click infrared thermometer, and test the temperature of the moon. You're saying, what are you talking about? The moon doesn't have a temperature. Well, yes, it does. Everyone knows. I'm not going to convert it to Celsius for you guys. But if it's 90 degrees in the sun, it's 80 degrees in the shade. We all know that. Sun, whatever it is, blocks some of the sunlight, right? Well, in the moonlight, it's the exact opposit. Right. It's 50 degrees in the moonlight. It's 60 degrees in the moon shade. It's like a 13-degree swing.
That's just like clouds. Like, it was described to me at school, like a little blanket keeping us warm. If we're in the shade, it will be cool. It will be warmer, surely, than if it was a clear sky. No, it should be the opposite. Meaning remember, the moon is supposedly reflecting some of the sun's light. So at the very least, it should be neutral. It should never go negative. In fact, we had to look this up. It's like, how is this possible? It turns out universities have been doing this for years. It's called a cold laser. Everyone knows if you shine a laser on something, it's warm, right? It's a laser from science fiction movies. But if you change the frequency on it, you can actually make things colder. It's a little tricky, but you can do it. Last thing, fifth point, which is Van Allen radiation belts. It's a simple question. Are they deadly? Yes or no? If you say yes, then I would say, okay, how did the Americans make multiple round trips to the moon and back with only aluminum and plastic shielding? Nobody died. Nobody got radiation poisoning. Nobody got cancer. There's still 5 of them walking around now, although Buzz Aldrin, a little iffy.
And if you say, no, they're not deadly, then I point you at a NASA video. It's called Orion Trial by Fire, which says that, oh, yeah, they're so deadly, we can't even test manned capsules right now because we haven't solved the radiation problem. It's like, and this was made in the end of 2014. I'm going, what are you talking about? You solved it in 1960. What radiation problem is there? You solved it. The only things that can stop radiation are lead, gold, a lot of water. And you can't use any of those in spacecraft because they're so freaking heavy. Well. Anyway, that's it. As soon as like NASA cares. NASA cares. They get $54 million a day. NASA does. They don't care. So I gave those 5 points to the professor, and he folded instantly. It was like, nope, that's it. We're not doing this. And the Germans had to pack up, and they never aired the segment. So there you go.
Mark, I'm just going to quickly reset my camera here because it annoyingly turns off after 30 minutes. So just sit tight for a second.
Okay.
Matt's got some questions as well. Matt's going to do some talking.
Oh, I'm going to do some talking for a bit, am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about the movie. We can talk about Beyond the
Yeah.
The Curve.
So presumably you've seen the movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Seen it a few times. Yes.
So what did you think of it? Did you like it? Do you feel like it was a good representation of like you and sort of what Flat Earth stands for?
It was a mostly honest snapshot of Flat Earth in 2017. Right. Most of it was shot in 2017, really from April through December. What I predicted it was going to be was exactly what I thought it was going to be, with the exception of one thing, which was I knew the Flat Earth community was going to hate it because they hate it. Nobody likes dissension. So when you see an astronaut and a scientist and a psychologist and all, when there's anytime one of those people came on screen, the Flat Earth community was like, oh, rage. But at the same time, what I didn't know, because I got a chance to do the film festival circuit a bit when this thing started going. We didn't even know it was going to get in the film festivals, and it got into, I think, 28 in 8 countries, which was great. And when I sat in the audience, it was really interesting because the audience and it was always the same. It was like clockwork. For the first 20 minutes, they didn't even think it was real. They thought it was a piece of like docufiction. Not a mockumentary, but like docufiction. And in fact, there was an editor out of Los Angeles. His quote probably sums up the best. He was shown it without any context. He knew nothing about anything, and he watches it. And at the end, he tells our editor, he goes, wow. He goes, where did you get the budget? He goes, where did you get the funds for this thing? He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, all those actors, they played it so straight. And he's going, no, man, it was real. He goes, that conference that actually happened? He goes, yeah. And so once the 20 and 30 minute mark happened, everybody in the audience, it turned. It was like all of a sudden they realized, wait, this isn't a joke. This is real. These are real people. And then all of a sudden the questions, kind of like you guys, just nonstop. And so I had to do Q&As. I had to go up on stage and do Q&As with these people. And it was for me, it was great because it turned into probably our biggest recruiting tool ever. It was a big Trojan horse. Everybody you may love it or you may hate it, but you have so many questions by the time you're done with it. My email load doubled, my interviews tripled. It was nonstop. And it's only been out for a couple months.
Just roughly, do you think, how many flat earthers are there? Does flat earthers are there? A derogatory term? Is that okay? Yeah.
No, that's a good enough term. There's nothing derogatory about saying flat earther. Look, we don't even have a better term for it because we're in uncharted territory. We have to people. But it's funny. You're not the first person to ask. Is that derogatory? Is it like no? What else are you going to call us? There are millions and millions and millions of flat earthers. 90% of our community is in the closet. I know this because they email me on a daily basis and they say, yeah, friends, family, coworkers, I'm not coming out. There's no way. I've talked to mainstream celebrities. I know people that are huge that will not come out saying, yeah, that dance floor isn't nearly got enough people on it for us to come out. Plus they watched what happened to Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
That basketball player over here. Like, for example, on your side, you had Freddie Flintoff. You saw what happened to him. Freddie Flintoff's like, oh yeah, flat. It's like the media just descends on you. But there's a survey. I'll give you an idea of the numbers real quick. 2 things real fast. One would be there's a research company out of the UK actually called U.gov. And they're a science-based research company, and they just decided to poll 10,000 Americans just to figure out, what was going on. It's a trending topic. Why not? And what was interesting was, as they went younger in the demographics, the numbers kept going up to when they got to the 18 to 24-year-olds in the United States, a full third were with us. And that's as low as they could go, is 18. And I've talked to a whole bunch of people younger than 18. It even gets worse. But to give you an idea of like the trending numbers, and again, I'm not making these up. You can look them up if you can. Which was when we first started doing this in 2015. When you type in flat Earth into YouTube, there was a thing up there that said relevant search results. We'll get to that in a second. And that only came in at like 50,000, and that's just relevant search results, meaning videos that are tied to it in some sort of way. Before they shut down the scoreboard, which was the middle of 2018, we were at 20.9 million. And then YouTube all of a sudden wiped the scoreboard out. I mean, I got a call. It's like, the scoreboard's gone. I go, what do you mean? It's not working? No, it's gone. So that relevant search results is not a thing anymore on YouTube. They just quietly just got rid of that, no fanfare. And people think it's delusional. It's absolutely because of us.
It is interesting to sort of look up and read about, especially if you must understand. It's a difficult thing to get your head around. Like you said yourself, it means basically resetting
it's
the whole of society.
It took me 9 months. I hated flat Earth. Here's the other thing. Everybody hates it when they start out. Everybody tries to debunk it. The T-shirt literally reads, "I became a flat earther because I tried to disprove it." I did too. I was way stubborn. I hammered on it, and then finally I said, you know what? I'm going the other way. I will make a series of videos to the internet, because the internet's super smart, super intelligent. Tell me how I went wrong. And instead of people coming and saying, okay, here's where you went wrong, shut it down, I had all these people contacting me from all the branches of the military and engineers and pilots and saying, yeah, you may be onto something here. I'm going, that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that. I want to go back to my life.
What is your life like now? I mean, what's a normal day for Mark Sargent?
Oh my God! Getting up every morning, going into the dailies. I call them the dailies. I know you have a different word for the dailies, which is you go and type in flat Earth into YouTube, and you sort by month or week or day, and you see whatever's been pumped out in the last 24 hours usually. Going to Google, seeing what mainstream media stories have happened over the last day or two or week, man. And then answering emails, which I get a lot of, making videos. I mean, I've got 1,500 videos now on my channel. And some of them are and people that say, hey, can you promote my regional flat Earth meetup? Yep, I'll make a promo for you. Hey, can we do an interview? Yes, we'll do an interview. And then I got to make a video for that. And then just whatever else. I mean, this is what I do all day, every day. I don't even really take weekends off. I'm sorry. And then conferences. I do public speaking so if I'm not here, I'm going to flat Earth meetups. In fact, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods in September. For example, just this year, which is just staggering to me, there's a flat Earth conference in New Zealand, Calgary. I'm speaking at Stockholm. I'm the only flat earther there for that conference. UK in September, Mount Shasta, California, Amsterdam, and then we finished off the year in Dallas. How's that even possible? This is flat Earth. This should not be a thing, and yet I just get dragged to these things. Like, hey, get up on. I don't even like public speaking.
It seems like the traction at the moment is it's only getting more and more. It seems to be really building momentum. I mean, for instance, we're talking about it right now. I probably wouldn't have even thought about this a year, 6 months ago, and. It's definitely it's captured imagination. That's for sure, and also, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The discussion is there. It's happening, and
yes, it is the most. It's the most polarizing thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't care what topic you're talking, and I've run into this with people and every demographic, and that is, it doesn't matter how rich, how powerful, how beautiful, how talented you are. Flat Earth is bigger than whatever you're doing, because it's physically the world, and it's the only conspiracy you can't walk away from. And I have to say conspiracy because technically, come on, remember the definition of conspiracy is just multiple people lying to hide something. So if you and a few of your friends dented one of your friend's car, put a dent in the car, and all of you agreed, it's like, yeah, we all agree that never happened. Yeah. We had nothing to do with it. There's your conspiracy right there. And they happen in every aspect of our lives. It's just a question of what we're willing to absorb.
Was there, just going back to the film, was there anything in it? Was this because, I work in television and film and stuff like that, and I understand how it feels to relinquish control in certain things. Was there anything about the movie that you didn't like, that you felt wasn't accurate, or was maybe?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know full well the power of editing. You can do so much in editing. I mean, I love the internet, that they can make trailers for movies that are completely different than the movie. You can turn anything into a romantic comedy or an action film, or just based off of editing. And it kind of surprised me. The director initially went into this, he was going to do a human interest piece. That was what it was supposed to be. And the people of Flat Earth, and for the most part, he did that. Except that when he got to the end of shooting, which was the conference, he had most of it already in the can. When he got there, something happened that really surprised him. And I didn't know this until I listened to the director's commentary on iTunes, which was, he said, he and the editor and the producers, they all said the same thing. It's like, yeah, when that 12-year-old kid walked up to the microphone, that's when they said they had to make a stand. Which was, it's like, it's all fun and games until the kids are involved. It's like, really? And that's when he tweaked it. That's when it's like, okay, we're going to go after him. And he was trying to be as neutral as possible, but he felt that, when younger people are, come on, because there's an age requirement for this sort of thing. It's not like we're going after kids. It's like, we don't have a particular program. We're not Joe Camel with the cigarette companies. And so, he went after Jaren with the laser experiment, completely butchered him in editing, got rid of almost all the good stuff and only saved the bad stuff. He went after Bob and Glowbusters, tried to make Bob look like he was hiding stuff. He even went after, created more of a romance between Patricia and I than there really was. It's like people were asking me in film festivals, like, what about you and Patricia?
Ask you as well, because as a film, if you're watching a movie... Patricia? There was this romantic. It felt like a romantic storyline that was running through it, and that was. I wasn't going to ask you whether if you didn't feel comfortable. I was going to flat out.
No, you can ask.
Was that edited to look that way, or was?
Yes, it was absolutely edited. In fact, that shot where the notable shot. In fact, I even had debunkers where I was sitting with her. At her place, and I had that look, I had a look like whatever, that I was pining for her. And people are going, oh, we've all been there, man. I mean, I've heard this from so many people. But what people don't realize is the romantic interest between Patricia and I, it happened actually a full year earlier. And by the time we had shot this, there really wasn't anything. But again, because you can edit it in a certain way, and we have chemistry, we know that. But the romantic interest thing really wasn't there. Heck, I'll give you one more editing thing, and you'll get this, which is the green button scene. Oh my God, the green button scene. And the director even asked me if he could leave that in, and I said sure, why not? Which was when we were at NASA and I was fiddling around with the touch screens. There was this giant green button right next to my hand. And what a lot of people don't know what about filming is when your characters leave the scene, you leave the camera on them so you have a little buffer, so you can chop things. And he just happened to zoom in on the green button as we were leaving. And the editor's going, you know what? All we have to do is pull him hitting that button, and we got a great little dig on him, and which was like, oh, he missed the green button, therefore he missed everything, and he probably missed the globe as well. And it was brilliant. It was this cute little shot, and.
That's but again, it shows been...
the what? Look, I mean, it's his movie. I had nothing, I signed away my rights, right, because it's a documentary. Come on, most people, the most documentaries never even make it into a film festival, let alone get picked up by Amazon and iTunes and all these things. So we didn't think much of it. But I still try to play it as safe as possible. Whereas Bob and Jaron, they just made rookie mistakes. Jaron didn't even go out to the site that he was shooting at. He did it live the first time with them on camera. It's like, what are you doing? You do not ever do it live the first time. You haven't even been out there. He just drove out there the first time. And the first experiment he did, he melted the laser condenser. Right. They took that off of camera. Sorry, it's so frustrating. But it's okay. The good thing about that is by the time Daniel left that in because he thought it would be a good dig. Most people don't even understand what went wrong. So when he ended the movie on the laser experiment, people knew subconsciously, it's like, okay, something went wrong, but no one could explain it. Because by that time, you're already 100 minutes into a film, into a topic that you're just blown away anyway. You're going, I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, something bad happened. It's flat Earth though, man. I got to go home and look this up.
No, not at all.
So,
no. Well,
yeah,
anyway, I've got to say,
go ahead.
Just because I enjoyed the film, I'm disappointed that
oh, I'm glad you liked it.
And you and Patricia aren't, the king and queen of flat earthers.
Well, we are still close. We still, in fact, she and I are going to New Zealand together. Next week she's going to be part of the team down there, and we spend a lot of time together. Honestly, it's kind of for the best anyway, because as you know, if you're trying to be a team and something happens, well, then it could get ugly, and we want to be, out there, and if the relationship went really, if there was a lot of bitterness, that would show up. And so it's probably the smart thing right now to not see what happens. Not be there.
I'm still rooting for you guys. Yeah, I'm still rooting for you.
Are you rooting for us? Is that what you're doing? All right.
There was a part of me that felt that there was more at stake than just proving whether the Earth was a globe or whether it was flat. At some points, that felt irrelevant. It felt like. And I think this might purely be me reading into these things because I can sympathise with this, but it felt like a group of people that maybe sometimes found social situations difficult or things like that, or a group of people that finds it difficult maybe to even make friends and stuff like that, which is something I completely get. And so there was parts of the documentary that felt like that. The Earth being flat meant more really to these people than just whether it was or whether it wasn't. It meant almost relationships and friendships and things like that. And do you think that there are people in the community that do rely on that do have that those sort of stakes, that investment in the Earth being flat?
Yeah, and that's the next. I rarely get that question, and it's a good one. Which is why in the movie, and I'm so glad they left it in there, the Monty Python reference. How all the religions formed off of the dropping of the shoe. Some of the most brilliant writing ever in 90 seconds. It's like, holy smokes, that's great. Which is, you're absolutely right. And there are some, and the reason why I enjoyed that part of the movie is there are some, I hate to use the word religious aspects to it, but there are, because we're talking about a faith-based thing here, like anything. And so, sometimes we use words like, faith and belief, and gospel, and is it canon, and stuff like that. And when you have something that is bigger than you, the concept is so big that for some people they don't care. Peer pressure tends to, it's again 90% of the people cave into peer pressure, but the ones that don't, it's like if your friends aren't into it, fine, I'm not talking to you until you come around. Because the paradigm is so, the gap between globe and this is so huge that I've seen relationships fall apart, family relationships, divorces. Why wouldn't you? In fact, most of the people in the flat Earth community will say this, and I think they hinted at this in the movie. It's like, you can't even think about dating somebody that's not into this, because think of the most polarizing topic you can think of. It's not like vegan versus non-vegan. Relationships can happen there. This is bigger than that. So yeah, there are people that will bypass. And by the way, they did try to paint. It was sort of true and sort of not, and that is, they were trying to, what you said earlier about people having, social issues, right?
Lost you, Mark.
I don't know if you can still hear us, Mark.
I don't know if you can still hear us. We just lost you. Sorry, Mike. We just lost you then for a second.
Want me to pick up?
Yeah, please.
Want me to pick up where I left off?
Please, continue.
Okay. So as far as how the movie portrayed people in social situations, okay, yeah, you got to remember that the early people that were into flat Earth, you have to draw from somewhere, and the conspiracy crowd is a bit twitchy sometimes. No question. I mean, your average conspiracy person likes conspiracies dark. Don't trust the government. They kind of like. I kind of equate it to the people that only like Batman with Heath Ledger, that type of thing. It's like, that's the only type of Batman I like. Dark and shades of gray and talking like I'm gargling marbles. Whereas conspiracies, it's like, I don't trust the government and everything's dark and horrible and they're just trying to get us and they're coming for our guns. Flat Earth is different in that aspect, where most of the members that are coming in now, a lot of women on top of it, and kids, are coming in because it's not dark. It's got a real open-ended thing to it, where it's this message of hope. Here's your religious thing again. It's this message of, hey, I am here for a reason. There is a purpose. This place was built. Now, again, if you don't want to name God, that's fine. At least whoever built this, if it's not the divine, they're at least one step closer to knowing God's phone number. Let's at least call it that. And it's got so much of a hope thing built into it. Like, for example, I've got a playlist on my channel with flat Earth songs. They've just been sent to me by people, in all genres: rap, folk, rock, grunge, people singing happy songs about flat Earth. Find that with any other conspiracy. Find me a happy banjo song about JFK. No. You're not going to find it. It doesn't exist. So flat Earth is a really positive thing.
A corner in the market. I might start doing some.
You have to get the guitar out, mate.
Doing some rap, some JFK happy rap. So there also what was interesting in the documentary as well was this guy Matt Powerland, I think. Matt
Boylan. Yeah, his real name is Matt Boylan. Right. He's from Montreal, Canada. His alias is Math Powerland, which is it's a terrible name.
He's that's what I wanted to ask you. Is there because through and you explained it very well. In the documentary, this sort of accidental way that you became a prominent figure in this movement, and that actually it was maybe supposed to be this guy Math Powerland, and
he had first crack at it. Absolutely, everything I said in there was true, which was. He was the guy. He was out there before anybody talking about it. But problem was with Matt, because it's like, okay, why didn't he? Why wasn't he resonating? Even though he was on YouTube, the reason is he only had one hook, which is photo or painting. He's a really good photorealistic painter. That was his thing, and he'd be like, hey, can't you tell photo versus painting? Photo versus painting. Can't you tell what's drawn and what's real? Well, if you say that to somebody 100 times, if they don't get it in the first few, they're probably not going to get it. And that's all he had. So by the end, and so a lot of people just weren't, I mean, yeah, they understood it. And again, because he was an artist, and artists, this aloof sort of, it's like, and so when the media started coming, I felt like a kid in junior high school, just passing notes in class. They would call me. It was one of the biggest ego things ever, where deflation things. Where they call me, it's like, so you're into flat Earth, right? And I go, yeah. Hey, do you know how to get a hold of Matt Boylan? We really need to contact him. It's like, oh. So I would call him. I was one of the only guys that even had his phone number, and I said, hey, the media wants to. He goes, I'm not talking to the press. It's like, who are you? Some guru living in a cave somewhere? What the hell are you doing? And he's like, I'm not talking. And I knew what he was doing. It was like, I'll talk to him when I'm good and ready. One of those things. Sure. So I'll be in my trailer until then. Well, whatever. And so I would call them back. What do you think happened? And he said, hey, do you want to talk about it? It's like, okay, sure. What do you got? And then the media is just notoriously lazy after that, which they didn't talk about in the documentary. Media, whoever's the easiest person they can find that's okay on camera, that's who they're, or on a microphone, that's who they're going to talk to. It's why Bill Nye gets on every television show ever. Because Bill Nye's good on camera. He's better than just about any university actual scientist. Bill Nye has a bachelor's degree in mechanical. He is not a scientist. And he's on every panel ever. He's talking about quantum physics, Mars rover, climate change. It's like, why are you talking to him? Now, I'm not saying I've gotten that bad, but yes, that's what started happening. So if you're in media, all you do is you type in flat Earth interview, I come up.
Because like you said, you were in contact with him. Have you been in any contact with him recently? And if you have, what's that been like? Yeah.
I've sent him a couple of things. In fact, I even sent him a bootleg copy of the documentary. It's like, because he wasn't going to pay for it. It's like, come on. I told him, I'm going, dude. In fact, he hadn't watched it until just recently, and I was going, you really got to watch this because you're the villain in this. You're the antagonist. And I knew why. I will say this. I will give the director his credit, which was they had to find, a good antagonist, and every scientist in there was smiling for the camera. Every scientist is like, yeah, well, they're mistaken and they're miseducated, but they weren't saying it in a bad way. It's like, okay, who can we get? Who's the black hat? Matt was a perfect choice. And it doubled up because it showed the dissension in the ranks. So it was great. But no, Matt and I are not close in any way, shape, or form. That line in there where he absolutely wanted me condemned. Yeah, but for the wrong reason. He wants to be condemned so he can go back in, but truth is he can't do an interview to save his life. He's hung on too tight, and he does come across angry. He's like that all the time
in the documentary. Yeah,
okay. He's angry all the time, and he's not even American. He's Canadian. Come on, he's French Canadian.
Well,
so what?
I don't think I've ever met.
Where's that come from?
French Canadian either, which is it's
exactly
good. Good on him.
I have no idea. Everybody knows Canadians are nice, right?
Probably a boring question for you, but it's just sort of little things that I would like cleared up. Is that there's a whole piece in the section in the documentary where it talks about the eclipse, this eclipse that was happening in North America, and
right. Yep.
How does that happen? So when I look at the and I tried to get one, but I couldn't get one. I was trying to get a model of the flat Earth with the sun and the moon spinning. I was trying.
You can buy them.
I couldn't get one in time. I was trying my hardest to get them. Okay. But if it is that model of the sun and the moon are turning on the flat Earth like they're turning on over a table, how does the moon eclipse the sun at any point, and vice versa?
Right. You're not gonna like the answer, but I'll tell you, because there was one of our guys who was taking a lot of shots of the sun. He called me up right after it was over, and he goes, Mark, there's something wrong. There's nothing eclipsing the sun. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, there's nothing eclipsing the sun. He goes, there's no three-dimensional object that's going in front of the sun. He goes, it's whatever's happening in front of the sun, it's two-dimensional. He goes, if I didn't know any better, he said, I think it's self-eclipsing. And I go, and as soon as he said that, I understood what he meant. Meaning, you might get this. I know I'm older, and you guys probably don't go to planetariums. In fact, I don't even know if there's. Are you close to London?
A million miles away from Greenwich. And
yeah. We used to have a planetarium, but I think they changed it to a conference room a few years back. But yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nobody goes to planetariums anymore. Why would you go? So if you go to a planetarium, you can replicate every aspect of the moon. And we've been doing this all the way back since the 1970s, right? You can do a half moon and a quarter moon and a crescent, waxing and waning and all that stuff. And that's what you can do with the moon. We always think of the moon like, in that terms. But when it comes to the sun, we never talk about the sun like a half sun and a quarter sun and a crescent sun. Why would it be any different? It wouldn't. It wouldn't be any different. We're just talking about different light sources. So the moon is a giant LED bulb and the sun is an incandescent bulb, and they can shade themselves quite easily. That's what happens with the sun. Short, simple answer to it. It's literally eclipsing itself, and we now have the technology to do this, even with bright objects. There's a wonderful company, look at it if you get a chance, called Colux. I think they're in Italy. It used to be a running joke, if you ever heard from construction people, that say it's like as useless as putting a skylight in a basement, right? Well, now we can put skylights in basements. It's just an OLED panel, and how they have it set up is it absolutely can simulate a full-blown sun and a blue sky, and it can follow you with perspective, like you're walking by. And they put these in buildings on sunny days. People absolutely are fooled. They think it's the real thing. So, and that's technology we can use. Imagine if whatever technology we had in 1,000 years, or whoever built this place.
Okay.
So, sorry, that's my short answer.
Okay.
Not a great one, but it's what I got.
And just stop me if I'm being too personal. I just wanted to know if you had any religious beliefs, or
religious. Oh yeah, you bet. No, I'm not shy about answering that. You can ask me anything. I was raised born again Christian, to where evangelical, to where church wasn't just a Sunday thing over here. So we had youth group, and we had vacation Bible school, and I went to Camp Malibu up in Canada. But remember, I grew up on an island, very rural, up in the corner of the United States, where there was nobody, not a lot of people. I was very sheltered. So when I got to university, I learned that there were other religions and there was other things. And then when I got into the tech industry, well, if you're into tech, church goes out the window. And I was completely away from any spirituality. And then when I got into flat Earth, I got snapped. I still don't really go to church on Sundays, but spirituality snapped right back in, because you remember the default shape of this. If we're talking about a big box, well, then it was built by somebody. And at that point, you're splitting hairs there. Okay, is it an advanced civilization or is it the divine? Which is why, by the way, a little follow up. At least over in the States, at least half of the flat Earth community are strong Christians. In fact, the Bible prophecy guys have told me they've never seen a recruiting tool for the church as strong as flat Earth. And I take that, I don't know what to do with that yet, but it is true. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, again, if it was built and then there's a builder, and people that were on the fence about the Bible, well, they're not on anymore.
Just another sort of question that I just wanted to ask you as well is it? And I after talking to you, I think I know the answer to this question. But is it important for you to be proven right, or are you comfortable just believing what you feel, and letting everyone else get on with what they're doing, or is there? I don't want to say a mission. I don't want to say.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
But is there a movement to prove this? To actually, yeah.
Do I have a goal? An ongoing goal in mind? A mission statement, as it were. Yeah, and that is, first off, I don't want to be rich or famous. I just want to know the truth. More than anything, the truth, not to use the cliche, the truth will set you free. But it's true. Curiosity is unique to human beings in that we love a mystery. And until this mystery is solved one way or the other, I'm going to keep going. Now, that being said, because people said, what happens, different media people say, what happens if you're wrong? Do you stop? Or do you just keep going because, like some religions, but no, if I was proven wrong tomorrow, I would shut it down. In fact, that is actually with the flat Earth, it's different from anything else in that everybody wants to be wrong. When they first started out, they end up everyone starts trying to prove it wrong. If somebody came to me tomorrow and said, hey, here's some 4K footage from leaving Cape Canaveral that went past the moon, which is what the Israelis and SpaceX and everybody should have, and they don't. Nobody has this footage. If they showed it to me and it's like, oh, yeah, looks real, and we had analyzed, I'd quit tomorrow. Go back to eating popcorn, drinking wine, playing games, be happy as a clam. But so why is this thing still going after 4 years?
What's next for the flat Earth community? What's the
Well, we're going to branch out into charitable organizations, literacy programs, world domination, and then no. That's a line from The Simpsons, by the way, which is Homer said it. No. We're at this point. We're just trying to get the word out. Initially, when I did this, I treated it like Fight Club. If you remember the 1999 movie, the first rule of Flat Club is that you do not talk about Flat Club, and I meant that, which is you choose your audience very carefully. Of course, you're going to talk about it, but you do it in whispered tones. You don't just go to your family dinner and say, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'm into flat Earth." You don't do that, and I've seen people that do that. It ends horribly. So right now we're waiting for kind of critical mass with the media, and we're getting really, really close. We've hit just about, I mean, when you type in Flat Earth in YouTube now and you look at the top 50 videos, look at the channels, yours included. I mean, look at the freaking channels that are covering this thing now. But once the word gets out, I believe in something called the 100th monkey effect. And I know some scientists disagree, but look, it came from somewhere. We didn't invent it. To where when enough people get it, there's a tipping point where all of a sudden you're now in the majority instead of the minority, and at that point peer pressure shifts, and that's what my goal is to get peer pressure to go the other way, to where it's like, what, you're not into flat Earth, man? You're not cool. You got to be part of the cool kids. And I think we can do it, and then we'll have to see. Honestly, though, man, we're again uncharted territory. I have no idea. It's like you asked me 5 years ago. Oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be making YouTube videos and go to public speaking things talking about flat Earth. I'd be like, you're out of your mind. Why would I ever want to do that? So what happened? Every day I wake up, it's like, okay, world, surprise me. Get whatever I'm supposed to. Again, last thing, which is everything I've done so far has been unsolicited. Meaning the YouTube contacted me, or Google contacted me and said, hey, how would you like to monetize your channel? Because you're not doing it. Like, okay. Publisher out of London that said, hey, would you like to turn your clues into a book? Radio station, conferences, and so on and so on and so on. Everyone just keeps calling. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to stop. I'll just keep going. No. I'm not going to fight it at this point.
You do. There is a little golden nugget, little cherry on top of the cake for you. There's a, you're basically, without sounding rude, you're making money from this.
I'm making some, but I haven't got to that point yet. I make enough to pay the bills, and producers have been swimming around for a while, and I'm not going to say no. I've told people, I say, whoever wants to do the television show, and there's some really interesting parties that want to do it. Of course I'd want to do it. Why not? But I'm not doing it for for the fame or whatever. I'm doing it because if it gets me closer to the truth, if I can use that as a vehicle to get me there, then great, fantastic. I'd love this wonderful shining moment. Not that I want the aha, I told you so moment where I just start dancing around and going, you guys can all suck it. But at the same time, I try, kind of like with the Logan Paul thing, where I walked out of the conference. I was the only person to walk out. And I said, he's going to troll you. He's going to freaking troll you. And when he did, I had to be humble and say, no, it's fine. We'll be okay.
No, I'm not.
You didn't hear about Logan Paul?
Things
oh my God! I'll tell you real quick.
Avoid, and they fall into that.
And the Paul brothers is one of them.
I shut down when I hear that name.
Trust me when I say this. I hate those two. They should have been smothered in pillowcases when they were 10 years old. They're all people. Seriously, you give a junior. I mean, it's the worst. I mean, their worst example of Americans I have seen in a long, long time. Which is, okay, you take junior high kids. This is after the Jackass team, Johnny Knoxville and those guys. They're gone, right? They did their thing, and this, of course, they were done before the internet came out. And so Logan Paul and his brother, it's like, let's do what Jackass did. And people will pay me to do pranks, and they just kept doing it, and then they ran out of people to prank in the United States. They started going overseas, and I just happen to I absorb a lot of media, so I did enough research on them, and then the next thing I know, we've got this secret mystery celeb guest that's going to show up at the Denver conference, and it was a real secret. Only the promoter knew. I didn't even know. And all of a sudden, 12 hours before he's going to be on stage, they tell me. They go, oh yeah, by the way, it's Logan Paul. I go,
sure.
I started developing a facial tic. I was going, it can't be Logan Paul. Logan Paul is an internet troll. He's one of the most horrible people ever. Even though he's only 24, he's terrible. I go, you can't put him on stage. Are you out of your mind? And no one was listening to me. I've got all the speakers, even Patricia, because nobody knew who he was, because we're older. His demographic is so young. And I go, if it is really him, if I show up tomorrow morning and I see any of his people here, I am gone. I am on a plane, and you will not, I'm not going to do my set. And that's what happened. It was like, he's there. I'm going, I didn't even blink. Right. I had my bag already packed because I figured it was too ridiculous not to be a lie. And I flew away, and people just chastised me. And he waited until you should watch the documentary if you get a chance, although it's tough, because if you hate him, you're going to hate him even more. And he made a 1 hour thing. It's like, how I trolled Flat Earth, because he basically pretended that his friend Mike or Steve or whatever it was, that some of his people were flat earthers, and he's on the fence. And that's how he got in. No, nobody was on the fence. They all hated it, and they were just there to troll us.
That's nice.
So anyway, that was,
I think that...
that was my I told you so moment.
I think, even though I don't know that much about the guy, I think I know enough to know that's the measure of the man. I think... I always think that these sort of discussions, like the one that we've had now, are interesting, are important, and to come up with your own conclusions and stuff like this. Like I said at the very beginning, I'm in no way looking to, be mean to people because they believe something that might be ever so slightly different to what I think. And that's the thing as well. Like, so I'm going to make sure that I put up a picture of the because I before I even knew about the flat Earth or knew that this was a thing that the people that was, as we say, gaining momentum. I already like years ago I looked at a projected map, which is supposed to be a truer depiction of what, when we look at a map, when we look at a flat atlas, like in a book or on a table or something, the countries are all a certain shape and this, but actually they're not that shape at all. They're more elongated and
no,
and so that's why I've not gone full out. I've not gone full Logan Paul and gone, let's just take the piss out of all these guys because they're a bunch of idiots. No, I get it. I get that. I like people that go, yeah, but here's a picture from space. And then if a person goes, yeah, but I didn't take that picture. So all I'm doing is believing what someone else has told me, and you're believing what someone else has told you. Like that, I don't see the difference there in those arguments. We're all just believing what we've been told, essentially. I mean, even the flat earthers, that they've not, and so
there is a belief thing there. Absolutely,
that stuff like that, what you just said about Logan Paul, just I think it's the wrong way to go about business. That's for sure.
It happens. And by the way, the map projection you're talking about is the Gall Peters. You're absolutely right. Everyone knows that the Mercator map that they show on the back of schools, it's absolutely wrong. Every educator knows this, and yet they won't change it because they think it's more comfortable to keep going with the old map. It's like, why? It's wrong.
Yeah,
it's like, the giant Greenland.
Makes me think, how far does this go? Is it just the map, or is there, the whole shape of the planet that we're sitting on right now?
Yeah, maybe. And again, for your listeners, to be fair, don't. And I try to tell this to everyone: don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Ask questions. Prove it for yourself, because that's how everybody in our community got into it. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to persuade you. All I'm trying to say is, hey, you know what? Ask questions. This is what I think.
That's a fair way of thinking. I'm a big fan of. Actually, I'm just going to do one more time of resetting my camera here, Mark. So I'm a fan of a guy called David Icke, who is
I know him.
He's an interesting guy. There's a lot of stuff that I do think is a bit out there that he says, but then there's also a lot of things that I do think are really interesting that he says that sort of, I go, well, that actually does make more sense than what I've actually been previously told. And sure. He says the exact same thing. He says, look, you can stand there and say you're absolutely crazy, or you can just blindly follow me. And he says I'd rather you said I was crazy. I don't want you to blindly follow anyone. I want you to go out there and think for yourselves and come up with your own conclusions. And I think that's flat earthers, round earthers, whoever you are. I think that's a message we can all get behind, and something that unites all of us, whether we believe the same thing or not.
Right. There's an old saying that's goes like this. It's very short. Trust everyone, but count your change.
Right. Yeah.
Don't just walk away and think that everyone is going to treat you completely honestly. The longer version is, come on, we all know that there's conspiracies in all aspects of our lives: business, politics, sports, entertainment, journalism, even science. It's just a question of what you're willing to look at and ask questions, or what you're not willing to look at. So decide for yourself.
Absolutely. Matt, is there anything else that we I feel like we've taken up a lot of Mark's time here.
Oh no, you're good. In fact, all I'm doing after this is picking up a birthday cake. So I had some flat earthers make me a flat earth cake, and I have to pick it up from the local shop.
What shape is it? Can I ask?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. It's a surprise.
I would love it if it's a globe. If it's spherical.
No. It'll probably be a flat, but it'll be round.
Yes.
It'll be standard cake shape, I'm sure. But I'll take some shots of it as soon as I get it, and I'll shoot them to you.
Before we go, and this is just something that I just because you don't get the chance to talk to people like yourself. I just wanted to know what you thought was going on in the Antarctic. What do you think's really going? Because as I understand it, when you and as I say, I will put this picture up on the channel so people can see what they mean. But that big continent at the bottom of or that big sort of huge chunk of ice that's on the bottom of the globe, actually when you flatten it out, becomes a ring that sort of that closes us all in. What do you think is actually going on? Because there's that treaty, that everyone's involved with. I think it's another 40 years or something that the nations are tied into that. Because I've heard some bizarre theories as to what's actually going. Because you're allowed to go there if you're doing scientific research.
Exactly.
Mark? What is the scientific research going on there? That's what I want to know.
Okay, real quick. So what happened with Antarctica was people have been exploring Antarctica for a long time. Admiral Byrd went down there in 1928, and the youngest admiral in the history of the United States Navy, and he basically flew planes around there up until his death in 1957.
Our very own Captain Scott was there, of course.
Yes.
At the Antarctic. Just give him a shout out.
No, that's good. That's good. You're the first person to give him a shout out. But there's other people have been exploring it. But what was really strange was Admiral Byrd goes on television in 1954, says the whole place is made out of money. There's massive resources, entire mountain range of coal. There's uranium. There's oil. There's all this stuff. We're going to carve this thing up, and then Operation Deep Freeze happens, and then everyone leaves the ice like they were being chased by monsters. And I mean, everybody. There was at least a dozen countries down there. And then right afterwards, almost simultaneously, so in 1959, the Van Allen radiation belts were announced, and the Antarctic Treaty was put into place, which says that no corporation from any country can ever go down there, ever. Only the military and only the scientists that are next to the military. That's it. What do I think is down there? I think it's the edge, but I think it's way, way, way inland. I mean, people I know, and Thor and all the Thor movies screwed it up with Asgard because you have that cosmic waterfall thing where it's this disc floating in space. No. Meaning the Antarctic coastline is just the beginning. it goes probably inland thousands of miles, because remember, they were flying for 30 years trying to figure out where the edge was, couldn't even find it in 1954. So do I think that there's a barrier out there? Yes, somewhere. And they're not going to let corporations go out there because they're not going to deal with any planes or helicopters that accidentally might run into it. What's the barrier made out of? I don't know. High frequency, force field, unified field, heavy element, heavy water. Take your pick. Negative physics, could be all sorts of stuff. But are they testing stuff down there? Yes. What are they testing? No idea. Little side note, which I'll throw into the conspiracy crowd, and that is there was only one country down there in World War II. Even though Admiral Byrd, because everyone was fighting World War II, and the only country that was down there was Nazi Germany.
They were supposed to be making spaceships. That was...
Well, that's just it. I mean, that's where, it gets weird. The stories are just freaking wild, to where the Admiral Byrd, right after he signs the Japanese surrender terms, he takes a full-blown carrier fleet down there in 1947 called Operation Highjump. And the rumor is, because we've got no proof of this, the rumor is he was down there to root out the last of the Nazi bases. Of course, why would he take a massive military force if there wasn't something down there? And then the story I like more than anything was that the Nazis were going to lose, but there was another civilization down there that was trying to intervene to make sure there wasn't any fighting, and we lost some stuff because of it. And the Nazis asked them for asylum. And they treat it like, I don't know what they do over there in the UK, but they treat it like a high school dance, which is okay. You can have asylum, but you don't get back in. Once you leave, once you're off the surface, you're done. You're not coming back. And that was it. That was, and because whatever happened by the time 1954 rolled around and Admiral Byrd goes on television, he's going, oh yeah, Antarctica, it's just a money pit. We're totally gonna, the Nazis weren't a problem anymore. So whatever happened during Operation Highjump, the Nazis I don't think they destroyed the Nazis. I think something else happened with the Nazis. I just don't know what. Could have been like the Ark of the Covenant, where they were just sucked up into the sky. Maybe. That's what seems to happen to the Nazis. So, yeah. Interesting story.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. I really, really appreciate it. You've been very insightful, and you've been very interesting, and that's really rare for this podcast. So it's been a very, very nice treat. And we both wish you the best of luck, and like I said, I was really looking forward to this because you come across just so great in the documentary, and I knew you were going to be a nice guy.
Oh,
and I wish the best of luck, and I hope you continue getting to do not things like this. Obviously, you do much bigger podcasts and TV shows and stuff like that. But I hope you're having fun and enjoying it and enjoying your time.
I am going to until this ride ends. I'm not going to stop. So thank you very
so
much.
Mark Sargent. And do you have anything you want to add, Matt?
No.
I don't think there's anything more we can say to that, is there? You've been absolutely perfect, and I think you've given a lot of people, stuff to think about at the very least. I think it's like I say, I think it's important to consider all options in situations.
Get the last message for your listeners, and that is try to be nice in the comment section. I know you're not going to want to.
I can almost guarantee it. To be honest, we've got an amazingly supportive.
Good.
Yeah, it's really bizarre how we've managed to find only the cool people that have YouTube accounts, and
Awesome.
I'm sure there will be lots of people who disagree, lots of people who will agree, but everyone's always civil and supportive in our comment section. I don't know why that is, but I'm not gonna question it too much.
No.
But
Okay.
Thank you again. Thanks,
Cool.
Mark. Well, there we have it. There was our first proper guest.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
Yeah, big guest.
Yeah, and I think that went quite well.
Well, from our perspective, it was great because he did a lot of talking.
He did a lot of talking, and that's the thing as well. I've been on the other end of interviews, and I think the people being interviewed should be allowed to talk.
Sure.
It might be old-fashioned in that sense.
Well, it does make sense.
And also, there was one or two things that I could have jumped on, but I didn't want to derail Mark, and I wanted him to be able to have his say his piece
Yeah.
and what he thinks, and because that's why we got him on.
Absolutely.
The thing about the eclipses didn't. It was just like they just sort of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well.
I mean, he tried to confuse me with the thing in the basement. It did confuse me.
What did he say about the basement?
I asked him about the solar eclipses, and he was like, "Well, you know, you can put skylights in the basement now." That's not the answer to the question.
Right. Oh no, I actually know what he's talking about. I've seen that.
Yeah, but that's not the answer to the question I was.
No.
I was asking.
It is an interesting bit of kit, though. It's.
That's not what we're supposed to be talking about.
Anyway, it looks quite cool. Anyway.
Well, anyway, we'll put a link to one of those basement skylights. Buy from Amazon in the description box. Was there anything that you felt? Because I didn't want to, I didn't want to throw him off his game, and I wasn't out to catch him out. Like, I wanted him to feel comfortable to be able to talk and stuff like that. It was. Are you convinced?
I'm not convinced.
I still think the old Earth is a globe, and I wasn't convinced about the one thing, because you know me, I love a little conspiracy. Don't I?
Well, you piped up when you started talking about Antarctica.
yeah. I saw you looking at me.
Yeah, I think I got a glimpse at the camera as well.
It was, I love a little conspiracy, and like I said in the thing, the thing that sort of that really hammers home a conspiracy for me, just because I find them more interesting. Because it's just you do, don't you? You find difference interesting.
Well, you're injecting a narrative and a story that's more interesting. You get to pick. A lot of things are very boring by nature, and if you can tell an interesting story about something that is typically mundane, then of course it's more attractive.
If you turn around and go, well, the royal family are lizards. Yeah. You go, what?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And and I'm the type of person, whether this is right or wrong, it's wrong, that would much rather believe the fun. But basically, it's just whatever's funniest.
There's a difference, isn't there? Like, it's interesting to read about them and talk about them, but to believe, I think, takes a big leap of faith, and I think maybe you should be careful about doing that.
I'm not. That's the thing as well. Like I also wanted to press him on, like when he was talking about flying saucers. I wanted to press him on a bit more than that, because he could tell, because he sort of tried to preempt my question and sort of answer it by saying they're beings from the past or something like, not from the past, but a more advanced.
Yes.
That have also occupied this flat Earth or apartment or whatever he called it, and
he should have called it a flat.
Yeah. Well, basically, what I was getting at was that, well, you've basically just admitted to space.
Why?
Because he was talking about flying saucers.
They can fly around flat Earth, can't they? Maybe they travel to the edge of this box and they can transcend into the outside of the box.
I do actually think that people have now expanded on this flat Earth, and there's other around. Once you get to the wall of the Antarctic.
Yeah, so we watched a documentary, didn't we? And there was a poster of the typical flat Earth, and then more sea outside it. Yeah.
If you haven't watched the documentary, by the way, then you should, because it is just a good documentary. It's very well made. And everyone in it's nice, and Mark Sargent comes across just really lovely in it, and Mark Sargent comes across really well in it because he comes across as a guy who's not out to get anyone. Like he's not out to. There are some, I assume, flat earthers that will violently defend what they. Like the guy, what was his name? Math Powerland. I kept putting Matt Powerland.
I'm sure it said Matt on the. Anyway.
No, I think he's right, actually. Well, he is right. He's better than us. Isn't he? But it was. He's good value for money. Should have got him in more.
Yeah, he's a good. He'd make a good villain in the documentary.
Yeah, he was good. not sold on that one. Just because, like I say, there's no one there who's making $1 billion a minute off the back of the Earth being round, and it's sort of, and the thing that that Mark did talk about as well was the experiment that was at the very end of the documentary, which you should watch. Basically, I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, well, maybe it's useful to actually just say
it doesn't work. They try and prove that the Earth's flat, and they prove that it's round.
Yeah.
They do the opposite of what they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done the opposite of that.
Yeah.
But it's not actual proof. I want to leave a little bit of ambiguity there.
Sure.
I said, I've not been on a spaceship.
No.
I kept wanting to say rocket ship. I had to keep saying... Did I say rocket ship at one point?
You said, can we put you on a rocket? You did say that.
Like a firework.
They was called rockets, weren't they?
I know, but it just sounds sort of... It's what you call... I don't know, it's what you call them when... even spaceships, what you call them when you're a baby. I was just coming across as a baby all the way through that. Yeah, I'm not a flat earther yet.
No.
But I reckon we'll go along to that thing in September.
I feel like he said Manchester, and
maybe
I'm
not
not going to that.
Yeah, it's quite far.
It is quite far.
Or is it?
What?
I don't know.
Is that something to do with flat Earth?
Yeah.
Okay.
The continents are actually closer than what you think. You could walk to Hamburg in half an hour.
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
I
was trying to think of some other things that.
What else did we talk about so that we can sort of have our right to reply like little cowards while Mark's gone.
I couldn't say it to his face.
No, I didn't want to say it to his face.
No.
Too nice a guy. Like I wanted to sit there and listen to everything he had to say. There's no point having someone like that on to challenge them.
No,
it's
ridiculous.
You just sort of go, right, off you go. And he was brilliant. Like, he said everything. And the economy thing, I wanted to push him on that. I wanted to go, well, I suppose he's right. When he was saying that, the whole of the stock market exchange would have to close for 7 months or whatever it was.
Right.
And that world trade would have to really reevaluate itself. It wouldn't, would it? It would just carry on doing what it's already doing. If anything, if it's a flat Earth, they might find quicker ways to do stuff. I don't know.
Mate, oh God, we're idiots, aren't we?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I didn't get that answer. That sort of felt like a little bit wishy-washy to me.
Yeah, there was a few things.
And also the thing about science as well, that yeah, I get that, but I do believe that most scientists are, or maybe they're not, I don't know.
Maybe they are what?
They just take things as facts. They just go, right, this is like this now.
Sure.
What we thought yesterday wasn't what we thought today, and what we'll think tomorrow. Like, that's the pursuit for scientists. If a scientist could come out and go, or a group of academics could go, you're never going to fucking believe this. The Earth is flat.
And here's the proof.
Yeah.
And then the other scientists go away, and then they try to replicate the results.
Yeah.
And if they do, well, then it's...
They'd have a massive party, wouldn't they? They'd go mental. They'd go, look, we've made one of the biggest discoveries in the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, scientists would go mad.
1500.
Unfortunately...
When was Pythagoras about?
Oh,
I
God.
think it was about
Pythagoras. He was knocking about last week, mate.
I think it was about 500 BC. Well, he was basically who came up with who came up with that the Earth's got a curve.
Yeah. It was it trigonometry?
I assume so.
Yeah, triangles.
Yeah.
You
loved them.
Yeah. Fuck it. Oh God, he loved the fucking triangle, didn't he?
But I think the science community would fall over themselves to try and claim a discovery like that.
Yeah, it would be met with a lot of opposition, just because of what exists. There's evidence that exists already.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there was very strong proof that it was flat, then any good scientist would replicate the results and then be excited because it is it's something new. But unfortunately, we're too far gone in the other direction.
So you believe that is... So now science is holding us back. It used to be religion.
No, not at all. No, not at all. It's all evidence-based.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a stick in the mud, but...
It sounds like you're being a stick in the mud. Sounds like you want the world to be a globe still.
Oh, God.
When are you going to get on board with how flat this earth is?
So boring, aren't I?
Yeah. Basically, we live in a great big frying pan. And and if you go to the sides, you end up touching the iron bit, which will burn you.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I also didn't like his explanation of what's on the edge.
Yeah, it was kind of...
I was hoping at one point he'd say, I don't know, you get sucked off. He did say get sucked up, but there was a little bit in my brain was going, is he going to say sucked off? And I probably would have giggled at that.
Right.
Also, the vacuum thing.
So
that the atmosphere would be... I don't think, and I might be an idiot because there's one thing that we have proven is that I'm an idiot. But with gravity, it's not just gravity.
No, it's the magnetic core. So you look at...
Yeah, it's the magnetic core, and it's also the way that pressure works as well. So it's like the bit of atmosphere that we've got, like every bit of atmosphere is pushing further down on the atmosphere that's already here. So that's why when you go on an airplane, the pressure is so much, so you have to decompress the airplanes and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because it's all being pushed right down. There's not, and I think there is. I think bits of atmosphere do.
Yeah, helium goes right out.
Yeah, I think it does seep out into the.
Yeah, it's just at a very slow rate because of the.
And we also generate the atmosphere through the trees and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, a good example is Mars because that doesn't have a magnetic core anymore. So the planet is essentially cold.
Yeah.
So we've got a molten core.
Yeah.
And that's creating like the poles, the magnetic field and stuff, and that's protecting us from the rays, space. This got a proper name, basically cosmic rays from the sun. Like Mars has got a very thin atmosphere because of that.
Right. It's just a great big nugget of metal in the middle of Mars.
Yeah, it's nice and hard.
Yeah.
Nice big hard nugget.
Yeah. So yeah, that one I wasn't on board with. Was there anything else that I didn't agree with? I didn't agree with when he said that the Earth was flat. But
it seems like a fun community.
It's not hurting anyone. I genuinely don't think it is hurting anyone. I know that there are, like that. We were talking about that. What's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't like that. That sort of smug.
Sure, that's not a good way of winning arguments.
No,
just
I don't think so. I don't think you turn around and just go, "You're an idiot." I don't think that's not productive. And doing mic drops and.
It's a bit cringeworthy, that, isn't it?
What did he say? The Earth's round, fuckers, or something.
It's like, this is gravity, fuckers.
Yeah.
And then drop the mic.
Yeah. He's right.
I mean, it is gravity.
He's right. See, that's why you got to get Brian Cox. He's more lovelier.
Can you do a Brian Cox impression?
The stars were born here. We're all just bits of stardust.
That's not bad.
He's lovely. He's just a big smiley northern sort of happy.
Who's going to call him a northern monkey?
No. No, he's great. I love Brian Cox. He's so pleased. Physics is amazing.
It is amazing.
It is.
It's infectious when he gets excited about it. And it
is so interesting. And I'm still. I think we'll have to get some more. I think we'll have to get some more experts on to get to the bottom of this, and I think hopefully in the next episode of Complete Load of Podcast, which will be out on the 27th of May.
Put it in your diaries.
It's the last Monday of every month is what I'm trying to do. we will have a chap called Alex J. O'Connor, who is better known as the Cosmic Skeptic. There's a dog.
Is that a dog? I thought it was children.
We've been through this before.
Yeah, I remember that.
There's a dog that sort of screams like a baby.
Fucking weird.
It is well weird, yeah. Alex is going to join us, and we're gonna discuss. He's going to tell us why the Earth isn't flat, and so that will, for balance. But that's pretty much it. I don't think I've got anything left to say.
No, all I'd say is keep it friendly in the comments and try and respect people. And
they will do. I've got no I've got no worries about that. I don't think there's going to be any fights or anything. I think that we've managed to find some pretty sort of level-headed. Like we say, we're not flat earthers yet. I can't see me being one anytime soon.
No.
But we still, we respect people, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can make sure you subscribe to the old Twitch channel. If you subscribe to the Twitch channel, which you can do now, we can become computer game friends. You subscribe to the channel, and if you subscribe to that Twitch channel, I'll say subscribe some more. If it's not going through, just in case you're listening to this while you're asleep. Just trying to osmosis you into into subscribing to the Twitch channel. You can I'll send you a friend request on Xbox or PlayStation or Steam or I think that's pretty much it, isn't there? There's no other ways to be friends these days. We can play video games together if you like that sort of thing. And make sure you follow us both on our social media pages, basically Twitter and Instagram. And
I'm down there. Have a little look.
Matt's stuff,
don't post very often.
Matt's stuff's down there. Is there anything you'd like to add, Matt? I've got an itchy moustache, which means my skin's drying up.
Yeah, there was actually.
Go on.
But you're gonna have to cut this because I've got a faff about getting up on my phone.
No, we'll make a cut here.
You know what? It's not even worth it. It was going to be a quote from Alan Moore, the guy that wrote The Watchmen, and he had a little quote about conspiracy theories.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds like a good way. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to.
Oh man,
what's wrong? Can you not connect?
Yeah, no, I got it. But really, we should have put this right at the top.
Well, we can do if you want.
Oh. Well, let me just soundbite it.
Yeah. No, this will go in at the end.
Okay. So this is Alan Moore on conspiracies. Yes, there is a conspiracy. Indeed, there are a great number of conspiracies, all tripping over each other. The main thing that I learned about conspiracy theories is that conspiracy theorists actually believe in the conspiracy because it's more comforting. The truth of the world is that it is chaotic. The truth is that it is not a Jewish banking conspiracy or the grey aliens or the 12-foot reptiloids from another dimension that are in control. The truth is far more frightening. No one is in control. The world is rudderless. That wasn't... No, I did not. That was unintentional.
That was gravity.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Don't you?
No.
God, you love a conspiracy, don't you?
No, it's not about loving conspiracy. Believe me, I've had some breakdowns. Spending. There was. Okay, here we go. I don't know why I'm saying this. So there was a time just before I was about to have my first baby where I spent about 20. I must have spent about 48 hours with a little sleeping gap in between, constantly on YouTube looking up conspiracies. And all this, and basically I was trying to find out the reason behind all war, and by the way, it's money, and I was like, and then so I landed on a video that was talking about war and talking about the more current wars, and basically saw this bloke from the Middle East carrying his little dead baby, going, look, what did this baby do to anyone? And I was like, and this was me trying to find out the reason behind war. and I had a little baby coming along, and just started crying, and my wife was going, "What is wrong with you?" And I went, I don't know what. I was going, look at all these wars that's going on, and I was going, so what can I do? What can I do right now? I need to stop these wars going on.
Get on, mate.
What can I do right now? And she said, I think you better go to bed.
Yeah.
So I do think that the conspiracies are more frightening, because it was the conspiracies that I was looking at that were scaring me, that were upsetting me.
Right.
The babies were getting blown up and stuff like this for these elite people or whatever, the reptiles.
Yeah.
That's not code for Jew, by the way. I don't want to go down that road.
Jesus, no.
Of all the conspiracies, the reptiles one is one that's even a bit too much for me, that one. Other than that, I'm all for it. Reptiles and flat earth too far for Buckley.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I said that on a podcast. But let's leave it there, shall we, before I reveal even more of my mental brain.
Jesus Christ. All right, mate.
All right, so we'll leave it there. It's goodbye from me. It's a goodbye from Matt.
Goodbye.
We'll say adios, shall we?
Yeah, go on.
Until next time, we're off.
Adios.